Welcome to the Parent2Parent podcast, where there are no bad children, no bad parents, only the misinformed and misunderstood. Episode 2 of the Prison Proof Your Kids series. We are not raising children, we are rearing adults, and there is a difference. I'm your host, Tiant, Professor Mitch Mitchell, America's greatest prison dad, or so I like to think. Now we're going to get into Why Do Children Rebel, Part 2. In the next 14 and a half minutes, you will discover that in order to prevent prison or any kind of trouble for our children, as parents and teachers, guardians, and educators, we must first understand the behavior that causes the trouble and leads to the prison. Now, although some professors with PhDs call me an expert of human behavior and parenting, I'm not. You will find out that I'm just a dad that has made a lot of terrible decisions that led me to prison. And I don't want that generational curse to transfer to my children. There was only one problem. I didn't know how to be a father, let alone how to be a good father. So I did what any incarcerated convicted felon would do. I got a job in a psychology department and studied child behavior and development and child development and human behavior. And since it's been nearly a decade, and today, my children and their mothers thank me for being a great father, even from prison. Well, at least they know how to boost their brother's confidence, right? No, being a father is now my greatest joy, and showing other parents and teachers what I've learned from here about why children ultimately end up in places like this is one of my greatest passions. Now, I truly hope you come prepared to take notes and make a difference in some child's life because of what you learn here. Now let's get started with the second part of why do children act rebellious. To understand why children act rebellious, we must first understand why they act, right? All action and behavior are fueled by something, which you learned in the first episode. Need leads deeds. You got to remember that. Needs lead deeds. You may not know and find it hard to believe, but all action and behavior are also logical. That's right. So little Johnny's attack on little Tommy may not make sense to us. But like all human behavior, and you'll learn soon, it's anything but senseless. We'll get more into that later. In the next 10 minutes, you will understand an important concept from actuation theory, or ACT theory for short, which says, in part, that children have a need to matter, and how that to matter concept drives behavior that lands our little ones in trouble. Now, I want you to imagine an island. You know, one of those tropical islands surrounded by beautiful ocean. Can you see it? The swaying trees, the soft sand, the soothing sunshine. Now let's call this island Satiation Island, because it's the island that satisfies our every need. Now, picture Satiation Island with a huge mountain in the center. I mean, so gigantic you can see it from miles and miles away. Now, let's call this mountain Matter Mountain. All right? Now, can you picture the rocky giant towering high in the sky? Okay. So far, we have Matter Mountain on Satiation Island, the beautiful island that satisfies our every need. All right, pretty inviting, right? Well, let's complete the picture. Look around your island. Can you see the vast, endless blue ocean engulfing every side of Satiation Island? I mean, sparkling turquoise blue waters, waves flowing up and down the soft sand. Okay, all right. Now let's call this ocean, well, we'll just call it ocean for now. Our picture is almost complete, though. Lastly, but certainly not least, can you envision a boat? No, a ship. Any size, color, make, or model you can think of. It's up to you. All I ask is that you see a ship. Do you see the ship sailing across the ocean in search of Matter Mountain on Satiation Island? All right. Now, I bet you're probably wondering, what the heck any of this has to do with behavior, children, and preventing the school-to-prison pipeline, right? Well, the answer is everything. Hold up. If you give me a minute, I'll show you exactly how. You want to know why children act rebellious? Notice I said act rebellious and not are rebellious. See, act equals temporary, changeable, and R equals identity, permanent, unalterable. We'll cover the influence and power of how we identify things in the next episode. But the answer to why children act rebellious is to get to Matter Mountain. And the behavior we call, quote unquote, rebellious is the tool used to get them there. So why do children act rebellious again? To get to Matter Mountain. Why did little Johnny attack little Tommy? To get to Matter Mountain. So why did little Raymond bring a loaded gun to school? To get to Matter Mountain. And the same thing is when you ask why does little Sarah, Alicia dress so provocatively at 12, 13, 14 years old? To get to Matter Mountain. And then why is Tiffany so promiscuous in middle of high school, or Tommy so promiscuous in middle of high school? To get to Matter Mountain. So why does your child do whatever it is they did, are doing, or will do? It's for the very same reason, to get to Matter Mountain. Listen, every child, like every human being, is striving to get to Matter Mountain. Behavior is just a means to that end, and not necessarily an end in of itself. So when we look at behavior as a tool to accomplish a goal or to satisfy a need, we're empowered to recognize and address the source of behavior and not punish or attack the behavior itself. Now, I've learned that behavior means nothing outside of the need to be satisfied, satiated, and the goal to be accomplished. It's like football or hockey puck or baseball in sports. They only seem like the most important objects of everyone's focus, when in reality, the football would be meaningless without an end zone to run it to. The hockey puck wouldn't mean anything without goals to hit them into, and baseball would mean nothing if we could just run across home plate and score without them. Likewise, our child's behavior is like a football that he or she uses as a means to score a goal. Children's behavior, their actions, are simply means to an end. The question now is, where is that behavior taking them? Well, to Matter Mountain, of course, to Satiation Island to satisfy their most pressing needs. Every human behavior is a tool used to get to Matter Mountain. If you remember this one precept, your life and relationships will look a lot different and will ultimately change. So the most important question is not what was done, is being done, or will be done by our children or your child, but why it is done. And more importantly, how is this behavior getting my child to Matter Mountain? In what ways does this behavior or that behavior satisfy their need? Remember, needs lead deeds, always. Now, what happens on Matter Mountain? Remember that act theory concept to matter that you heard of earlier? It says that every child needs to matter. In fact, actuation theory says to matter means to feel heard, seen, acknowledged, valued, loved, and respected. 6 very important states reduced to 2 simple words: to matter. Our children need to matter by any means necessary. Therefore, they will matter by any means necessary, be it sports, academics, video games, social media, and or disobedience, violence, promiscuity, drug, alcohol use, or crime. Crime, violence, disobedience, and rebellion are all tools. That's means to an end. What end? To Matter Mountain. To be heard, seen, acknowledged, loved, valued, and respected. Little Johnny attacked little Tommy in an attempt to be and feel heard, seen, acknowledged, valued, loved, and respected. Little Ray brought the loaded pistol to school to be heard, in an attempt to be heard, seen, acknowledged, valued, loved, and respected. Now, what about little Sarah, Alicia, and Tiffany? Young girls quickly learn in today's society that the fastest way to be seen, heard, acknowledged, and to be valued, loved, and respected is through their bodies and physical appearance. Much more so than young men today. But in act theory, there's another part to this concept to matter. The whole concept says this: children need to matter to those that matter to them. Now, that leads to a very sobering reality. You, parent, may not matter to them and therefore lack influence over their lives. That's very difficult but necessary reality to accept. Students in my Felons and Fathers 2 fatherhood training course learn early on that you may think you are their dad, but it's been X amount of years that you've been absent. To them, you are practically a stranger, and your relationship will not progress unless you start from there, from known stranger and not daddy. See, children act in attempts to get to Matter Mountain. They act to matter. That is, they act to be and feel heard, seen, and acknowledged in order to be and feel valued, loved, and respected by the people and the things that matter to them. Newsflash, you and I may or may not be one of those people to our children. What? Why not, Professor Mitch? For many reasons that we'll cover more in this series. But the one that you want to know the most obvious reason? The most obvious reason is you don't matter to your children because they feel that they don't matter to you. Us parents and teachers won't matter to our children until they feel that they really matter to us. We won't feel, that means we won't feel or be seen, heard, acknowledged, valued, loved, or respected until our children feel seen, heard, acknowledged, valued, loved, and respected. I'll close with a quick story to illustrate my point. There was a champion stallion who had an injured leg in a race. The owner called a veterinarian to fix him. She walks in the stable, sees the horse's broken leg, says, "Oh, poor baby," she says, as she puts her bag down. She bent down to behind the horse and to examine the leg. Just as she picked up the leg, the horse kicked back and broke her entire face. Now, in court sometime later, she argued that the horse kicked her for no apparent reason. She was just trying to help the horse. Well, the judge said, "Yes, I know, but did you ever stop to ask yourself, what did the horse think you were doing?" I'm Professor Mitch, the philosopher prisoner, Mr. Find a Way and Make One. Listen, remember, you got to think about what the horse is thinking. What does it mean to the horse? The same concept applies to our children. What does it mean to our children? That's the reality. You're listening to the Prison Proof Your Kids series, where there are no bad children, no bad parents, only the misinformed and misunderstood. Stay tuned for the next episode of Ships and Oceans. Be encouraged.